Okay, welcome to another ranking video, and this is the 2005 top 10. I do plan this year maybe to catch up to at least last year, but I've made those sort of promises before. Let's get on to it anyway, and first the notable honourable mentions. These didn't make it. Quickly, Eric Clapton's Back Home, a competent set of songs, few covers, notably I'm Going Left from Sarita Right, Love Don't Love Nobody, done by the Spinners, and George Harrison's Love Comes to Everyone. Winwood appears on this record, as do most of the guys that are always on Clapton's albums. As I say, it's pretty competent, nothing exceptional. Next up, Possibilities, Herbie Hancock. This is an album full of Herbie's guests, and it's a beaut. A pop album with a spate of other genres added in to the mix, and it works. Pick of the bunch is Christina Aguilera singing the Leon Russell song, A Song for You. First heard that at the Grammys. Also, we've got Safiaton featuring Angelique Kidjo and Carlos Santana joining the party here. Sting also chips in, as does Paul Simon doing their own songs, but it's a wonderful piece of work with Hancock clearly in charge. So that's worth a spin. Carnival by New Model Army. This is power post-punk rock, and it's absolutely tremendous. With that sort of power, I can't understand why this band didn't go on to greater heights. Then X and Y, the third Coldplay album, classic rock, and it sounds great, but you can't get emotionally attached to it. That's how I saw it. The songs, they still sound a little bit like U2 on occasion, bit too much, but it's competent. And the excellent production, of course, sticks out. And who couldn't love The Hardest Part? Remember the video with the 84-year-old woman doing acrobats? Next, Adrian Bouloux. This is his second of his ampersand electronic progressive psychedelic rock series, Side 2. As I say, it's got rock songs, it's got guest stars, introspective lyrics, very electronic, and it's a great advertisement for a guy who really knows how to play guitar and get all the effects onto record and make them sound great. There's quite a bit of Crimson influence here, but that's no surprise seeing as he was with that band. But Side 2, Adrian Bouloux. Notables. Moving on, Chavez Ravine by Raikkonen, a bulldozer driven by a chain-smoking skeleton, is the mysterious retro-looking album cover with a flying saucer hovering above and lots of destruction. This album was named after a neighborhood in Los Angeles, a rural feel of an urban place populated by Mexican immigrants who mostly just wanted some peace and quiet. But then the bulldozers arrived and Dodgers Stadium arrived, and this is Kuda's story of this destruction and the impact on the community. The music's a magical blend of Tex-Mex and old-fashioned rhythm and blues. And then on to Morrissey, a great live album, live at Earl's Court in 2003. Great production on this, which amazed me considering it was Earl's Court. It's the You Are the Quarry tour. The Smiths' Big Mouth Strikes Again is heard. The More You Ignore Me, one of my favourite Morrissey's tracks. And then the more recent, I Have Forgiven Jesus, and Irish Blood, English Heart. Great live album. And finally, in these ones that just missed the cut, Bruce's Devils and Dust. No E Street Band here, and it's an emotional outpouring of following the rising, but stripped back a little bit. There's still a lot of Tom Joad in this album and the Americana theme, but I like it. Started with this number 10. This is Fingerprints by Peter Frampton. Of course, Frampton grew up with The Herd, then he moved on to Humble Pie, and then in '76, of course, he came alive and became a millionaire. This album is instrumental and it's absolutely first class. He's always been pretty smart on the guitar. He was Bowie's guitar player for a period, and he mixes hard rock with horns on the opener. There's some scintillating guitar work, and also there's some Latino jazz, which he plays at a pace, and it gives a feel similar to that of a jazz guitar great. And then, of course, there's the fuzzy blues, Hendrix style, alive and well, and Santana influences also. Black Hole Sun comes to mind. There's some wonderful stuff. There's a cover of the Soundgarden tune, Black Hole Sun, which shows up really well, and a beautiful slow ballad called My Cup of Tea, where he's joined by a guitar legend, Hank Marvin. Check it out, it's great stuff. Fingerprints by Peter Frampton. It's number 9 now. This is Siberia by Echo&TheBunnymen. This is their 12th offering, and they've been around for 20 years now. And I love the early work, particularly Ocean Rain. This, however, is the 4th since they reformed the partnership of Sargent and McCulloch, and it's locked into that clear new wave rock motif for sure. All Because of You has guitar that makes you pine for your loved one. McCulloch's vocals are sincere and melodic with passion. Scissors in the Sand is a standout. Its powered up rhythms dynamically presented, and it's got confident vocals, and Sargent is masterful as he ratchets up the pace. Is it 1980 though? Spiraling Spacey Lee sits on top of that furious bass. So get to listen to it. Siberia. For impressive albums this year, 2005. And 8 is Fijacian Oral Vocal Volume 1. This is by Shakira, much more eclectic than the multi-platinum Laundry Service, which I have heard, but wasn't that impressed. La Pared is exquisite, as Shakira points out her Latino heart all over a crisp, catchy beat. She's a superstar everywhere, except in English-speaking countries, so you need to remember that if you decide to listen. It's in the same bag, really, she is, as Prince and Madonna, and she really is up to it. Standout track for me, though, Obtena un Si, where she shines like a beacon, and there's some orchestral arrangements with horns which are intertwined with her idyllic vocals, almost mingling opera with Latino pop. It's absolutely wonderful. Fijacion Oral Volume 1 by Shakira. And this is Guaro by Beck. This is catchy, it's sing-along funky music with hip-hop beats, blues-laced guitars, electro-tinged folk and a little bit of soul. And it's all on one album. The Excellent Girl skips in, breezy and summery, and then Black Tambourine, which contains a grinding bass line and shuffling beat that makes it instantly appealing. But I heard a brief nod to some of the Delta blues from Beefheart on some of these tracks, and it really is one that moves me. There's a down tempo on Missing, and I feel like the strings really add to some of these tracks. So get to listen to it. It's a long way from Sea Change, but I guess he decided to go back to basics. It's Guero, and it's by Beck. At 6 then is Mbemba by Salif Keita. This is a remarkable multifaceted collection which beautifully blends native choirs. Actually, his foster sisters are responsible for those, with some rolling hypnotic guitars and happily dancing percussion, and of course all those indigenous instruments that are brought to the table, lute and kora, for example, and nagona. Long-time associates are Kante Mafia and Osmani Koyati on guitars. Tumeni Diabeti plays the kora, and Mama Sissoko's banjo is thrown into the mix. And of course those female harmonies are absolutely exquisite, which makes him stand out from the pack. Those suspicious or hesitant about African music, well, I suggest you open your hearts, open your minds, and most definitely open your ears to wondrous music that gets deep into your soul, described by one fan as cosmic bells to my ears. Well, I go along with that for sure, and go no further than the title track, a piece of sheer beauty, and particularly those harmony vocals. So we're at number 5. Woof. Talking too much. Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. This is by Paul McCartney, and you can see him on the cover with a photo taken by his brother in his adolescence. This offering is his 13th, and it sort of was kick-started by his 2004 headline appearance at the Glastonbury Music Festival. It already started a renaissance. This piece of work, he worked with the Radiohead producers Nigel Godrich, and it's a very focused album. Macca plays almost everything apart from strings and the odd guitar piece. The album was released less than a year before he and Heather separated, which I think is worth noting. I listened to this album again yesterday. I'm going to go through a few of them. It's a mixture of rockers and melodramatic ballads. How Kind of You caught me. It sounds very genuine, the vocals. I love Jenny Wren, which I feel Paul is majestic on. It's reminiscent of Blackbird from the White Album, a solo acoustic. English Tea, gotta make a mention of this. Gorgeous, whimsical, music hall, jocular and lovable. It's a standout. It reminds me of Sunday's Fair in summer in the UK with a cuppa. And strings are added to the sweetness of it all. And then we've got a certain softness, music to melt to, samba-like jazz beats. The vocals are so good, they're really edible. Classical guitar and harmoniums added to the golden sound, another standout, and some crisp piano from Paul. And then Riding to Vanity Fair, another big standout on this. A sad tale to reflect on. The strings accentuate that mood. It's a delicious lead guitar that's added to this one. And so I could go through them all, but we'd probably be here till tomorrow. A beautiful set of songs, and I really do recommend it. It's called Chaos and Creation in the Backyard, and it's by Paul McCartney. We're up to number 4 now, and this is a bigger band by the Rolling Stones. 16 songs, 64 minutes, 8 years between drinks, a great front cover with them all smiling. You can see all their crinkles clearly, and it's a real great album. I love it. Rough Justice blasts out to open things up. The guitars are everywhere and mix up your nostrils. Let Me Down slow, very nice melody, up-tempo rocker. Less aggressive than the opener, but nice slide guitar solo by Ronnie Wood. And there's lots of oohing on this one. It Won't Take Long is a blues R&B soul classic. nice riff from Richards, and I could go on and on and on. Rainfall Down, addictive rhythm, funky reggae on this one. Jagger sounds very sleazy. And then we've got Streets of Love with Mick squeezing the last drop of emotion out on this one. A real energy from the band, I felt, and a crisp bridge. There's a coyness in his vocals which appeals to me. Back to his best. We could go on. Biggest Mistake is certainly a strong song. But if you ever were in any doubt that this band are not the greatest band in rock and roll, listen to this one. Absolutely outstanding. 3. Paul Weller's 8th studio album. It's called As Is Now, and 60s soul and guitar pop, reminiscent of Small Faces. You've got it. Heavy soul, a bit like that, 97. You've got it. I Want to Make It Alright is one song that hints at Weller's love of jazz as well. It's a 7-minute groover complete with sax, which brings back the funk to us all. Blink and You'll Miss It opens it. It's got a scorching heavy rock blues riff. Comes out and lets go. And it's a jewel that could have turned up on Setting Suns. Crank up the rhythm, Paul. And here's the good news. A 60s kink-style pop song with a touch of brass is thrown in nonchalantly. There are 14 songs in all. Another eclectic mix from the Godfather, boasting what I consider to be strength throughout. Lively performances and a great variety of colours and textures in the production. Paul Weller never disappoints. Go to number 2 then, and this is A Time for Love by Stevie Wonder. Well, yeah, McCartney, the Stones, now we've got Stevie. This was the first album since Conversation Piece back in '95, so a decade between drinks. The socially conscious genius that Stevie is, he writes a few new anthems for this new generation on this offering. And of course there's a bunch of R&B crooners to satisfy those who demand hits, the streaming services and radio friendly channels. There's a funky theme-based material plus gentle moments of tranquility. The love songs have a maturity that are carefully crafted. Just to note on the odd track here, the jazzy How Will I Know features Wonder's daughter on lead vocals, and she coincidentally showed up on Songs in the Key of Life singing Isn't It Lovely 30 years ago. So give it a listen. The second half, it's a 5-song cycle of ballads and quiet storm jams, and there's a lot of guest appearances here. Rap pioneer Doug Fresh, Bonnie Raitt, Sir Paul McCartney's on here, Kim Burrell, Kirk Franklin, and the purple one, Prince, plays guitar on one. Okay, can't go wrong here. A Time of Love, For Love by Stevie Wonder. And for the number 1, you're probably wondering, what is it? Well, if you've done any research, you'll know there's only one album in 2005 that is above all of those giants, and it's Ariel by Kate Bush. We've had 12 years to wait for this, Bush fans, but for me, this basically catapulted me into her fandom. Her early work I'd actually steered clear when this came out. However, I put that right now. Reason for that was ignorance at the time. Ariel provides 2 albums really, separate in feel and scope, and even separately titled. The first disc is called A Sea of Honey. It's a collection of songs that fit together like an album, but the second disc, A Sky of Honey, is more conceptual in sound and lyric. To me, I experienced the wonderment of the whole package. It's a journey of excellence, and so to highlight tracks would be completely fruitless. It's because she's a rare piece of a jewel in our crown here. It's number one because the work is such that you will fall in love with it. And that special feeling, as we know, rarely happens in life. Once, maybe twice. Kate Bush has arrived back, and we're all better off because of it. It's the number one album for 2005. It's called Ariel, and it's by Kate Bush. If you haven't heard this one, I'm afraid your life is not complete.